What up, guys? Welcome to episode 98 of Fresh Off the Mats. Here with the Jiu-Jitsu Joes.
You don't even ask if I'm ready anymore.
No,
There's no like.
just be ready.
What's the little?
Just hit the
director
button.
thing.
3, 2, 1.
Action.
Do they still do that?
I'm in the fucking movie business. I don't know.
I don't know.
The only reason why I know that is because it was in the movies when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And then like end of credits, they used to show like the bloopers.
The-
I think so because bloopers still show that when they're doing it and they'll have it in front of the camera.
I feel like movies don't do a lot of those bloopers during the credits anymore.
No.
I'm trying to think, what was the latest movie, like a recent movie that like at the end they showed bloopers?
Deadpool.
They usually show a scene, but
No, Deadpool and
shows bloopers?
showing it, yeah.
oh my goodness gracious. I'm going to see it on Friday, I think.
Nice.
So
You're gonna love it.
can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. No spoiler alerts.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fucking.
it's super good.
Just, dude, what Travis and I were saying with cameos and all. Oh man.
Okay, we're not talking about this. I don't care how good it is. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, that's good.
good.
All right, that's awesome.
It's so funny, dude.
I haven't spoiled one thing from it, and I've been dodging,
Wow.
tiptoeing through Instagram
Nice.
like a motherfucker.
Bro, I give you credit for even going on social media. I
Yeah.
would be doing your post and then I would just get off.
The
of
only
social
thing
like
I've
that.
seen is that, but I already knew this ahead of time that he was wearing the mask, the Wolverine mask from the comics.
So I didn't know that.
oh,
I-
that's
so
the only thing I
That's
knew.
the one thing I didn't see, bro. When that happens in the movie, like
Yeah.
I was,
It's
my
badass.
sister is who I went with. It was just her and I was like, oh, look, and she didn't really get it. Like she was like, okay, it's his mask. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like that's the mask.
the mask.
That shit was dope. It was really cool to see it all.
Um,
And they did really well putting the movie together too. It's not like cornball. They did a really good job putting it and like how they made everything work.
I mean, they did a good job with the first two. I was having high hopes for the third one. So
yeah, no, it's you're not
it's
gonna
just
get
too
that.
much. You know what it is, man? It's too much. I was telling Bree last night. You used to be able to watch the Marvel movies. Now you got to watch TV shows and movies to lead up to watching another movie.
Yeah.
Bro, I got to do homework to watch a movie now. Like they should have kept Marvel movies separate from Marvel TV shows. Now it's intertwined. You got to watch 2 episodes of Daredevil, 2 seasons of Loki, and 3 seasons of WandaVision. All these shows just to understand subtle plots in the movies. It's annoying, dude.
That's the one thing where I was.
How do you watch them in order?
Yeah, you got to look it up.
You got to watch season 1 of Jessica Jones, but don't go into season 2 until you see this movie.
So that's how
then
Star Wars
Bro,
is
this-
like that.
Yeah, Star Wars suffers from the same thing now.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Because I wanted to do like a whole Star Wars binge, and it's really cool. Because the one thing I will say for Star Wars, like I never watched the animated series until recently, and I finished it. But I do see why, because like you've seen the movies, right?
The movies, I haven't seen shows.
So the movies, in the movie how like Anakin and what is it, the Revenge of the Sith? I forget what it was called.
Okay.
The one where Anakin like officially goes bad, right?
Okay.
And he kills all the kids and all that, right?
Yeah.
So in that movie, growing up when I saw it first, I was like, why did he like? It never made sense why he just went bad. It's like you had 2 conversations with Palpatine, and then all of a sudden you want to slaughter the Jedi.
Yeah.
It never made sense. If you watch the animated series, The Clone Wars, it clears it all up, makes it all like you're like, oh, the Jedi Order was fucking Anakin. They would send him on the shit missions, some missions where they were like, oh, he probably won't come back from this. Like,
Yeah.
they were literally throwing him under the bus. And then anytime he was in a leadership role, they would always just pin shit on him and be like, oh, this went wrong because of you, blah, blah, blah. When he had his apprentice, they ended up getting rid of her, which is Ahsoka, why they made the whole show. But there's a whole background to that as well. And so it was very, I guess, mind-opening or eye-opening on why it worked. And then going back to watch the movie, it made so much more sense. I was like, okay, I get why having the shows are there. But like you said, it's like now I had to watch the movies and then I had to jump to the show and then jump to this movie. And then from this movie, it says, stop it. It literally gives you the advice. Stop it 20 minutes before and then go to watch these 3 specific episodes because they're happening at the same exact time as this event. And then you go back and watch it, and then it collides into the movie. and then you have to start watching shows, and then you build it up into more movies, and it's like
When
Jesus
you
Christ.
got to do homework to watch a TV show or a movie, it's like, dude, stop. It's too much. It's too much.
And then my
man.
buddy was just like, "Oh," but he was like, "That's not even all of it." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's books and comics that."
Ah,
continue."
come on, bro. Just
That's only if you
stop.
want like the small details, like why things are a certain color and all that, why they fight with two blades and not one. Like, if you want those little details, that's where that comes into play, apparently.
But it just got too much with Marvel. I like Marvel more than Star Wars. Ironically, I'm wearing a Star
Really?
Wars shirt.
But
Um,
I didn't even realize that.
but it's just too much, man. It's too intertwined. It's too much. I don't know. Because now, like, they just announced Avengers Doomsday for next year coming out with Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom and all this stuff. But the thing is, you're going to have to watch all these movies that just came out, all these, like,
They have a
weird
shit ton.
movies
So I
that
didn't
came
know
out
that
recently.
there's a shit ton of Marvel movies coming out.
There's been a shit ton of Marvel movies the last 2 years. I haven't watched any of them.
They have like 8 coming out.
Yeah.
This is-
But they've had over the past 2 years, not blockbuster. The last one I watched was Endgame. But they've had more
that was the
movies.
last one I watched, too.
Yeah. But in the last 2 years, they've had Madam Web. They've had all these
They all
Captain
connect.
Marvel. I'm sure it's going to connect in some way, shape, or form.
Well, that's not
And,
always the case because this third Deadpool movie is the first. Now Deadpool is connected to the MCU. Before the first 2 movies, he wasn't connected.
Yeah.
So just because a movie comes out doesn't mean it's actually connected to the MCU.
Yeah, but they always have something that strings back and shit from the previous
if they
movies.
decide to connect it, that's what makes it. And so that's where this Deadpool, that's what they're doing with it too. They're like, and you can
Yeah.
see how they do it. They do it pretty smoothly, but
It's
some
just,
of it
it's
seems
annoying, dude. It's
Yeah.
annoying. Just stop.
I just
It's
saw a post
annoying.
today. People, I don't even think people, because the whole entire post was supporting it, but the title was "Backlash for Robert Downey Jr. being Doctor Doom because he was supposed to be a black man." And
Did they ever reveal Doctor Doom's face? I don't think they've ever revealed
I don't
Doctor
know.
Doom's
I
face.
don't know. Actually, that is a good question.
I don't think the comics ever showed. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure Doctor Doom was masked up. I don't
All
think he
the
was
time.
ever revealed. Can't talk. Did they ever show his face?
I would doubt it if he was a black man. If he is,
He was
that's
white
crazy.
in the previous movies.
So I always thought he was a white dude because in the game I played, I knew this part where he was from Latveria, which is in Europe, and doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of fucking African people out there.
They just it's
A Romani family outside of Latveria to a witch and an herbalist. That's what Doctor Doom is.
yeah.
So
I don't
and
know.
His first name is Victor. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like he would be a white dude, but I've never seen his face though.
But here's the thing. This is why I don't think we're going to see Doctor Doom's face in the Marvel movie. Because why wouldn't you just keep it as a surprise that Robert Downey Jr. like a secret, you know what I mean? Like
a reveal there.
like a surprise in the movie, like he takes the mask off, it's Robert Downey Jr., it's Tony Stark from a different universe or however they want to spin it.
That's what
I feel they revealed it because they're not going to show it in the movie, but they want you to know that a really good actor is going to play Doctor Doom. Because that's the biggest, like, oh my God moment in an Avengers movie. If he takes it off and it's Tony Stark underneath from a different timeline.
I'm wondering if that's what they're trying to play it as, because how are you?
But I don't feel like they're not going to show his face now in the movie.
And they're probably going to do like a voice modulator and all, because he does
Yeah.
sound like very rough too. Because isn't it like the backstory he got burned? I
Some
think
shit.
it's like, I know something disfigured him, and that's why he wears the mask.
But I just feel like if you were going to show Robert Downey Jr.'s face in that movie as Dr. Doom, you would have had a shock factor built in. You keep it quiet, which at this point, they're very good at keeping things quiet under wraps.
Dude, the amount that's in Deadpool.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
What shocked. I didn't think so. You're saying that? I never thought these movie people were good at keeping things under wraps, because I always thought like paparazzi would like reveal something.
Yeah.
So when I saw Deadpool and the shit that I haven't heard downstream, like on social media or just random posts, it shocked me. I was like, oh damn, they have all this involved? That's crazy.
Yeah. So I think they're not going to show his face in the movie. If I had to bet, they're not going to show it.
And it's just that
they just want the confidence that and the drumming up of Robert Downey Jr. is in another movie.
Yeah. It's a good choice to have.
Because, dude, if they reveal his face and they go with the storyline of, oh, this is Tony Stark from a different timeline, bro, then deaths in Marvel movies don't mean anything.
Yeah,
they don't mean anything. You already did where you killed everybody at the Avengers movie and then brought them back for Endgame. And everybody's like, okay, fine. Like they killed off these characters. We were sad, but they brought them back for Endgame. If you now play with the timelines of we could kill this guy here, but bring him back from here and kill this guy, then you every time you see a death in a Marvel movie, you're gonna be like, oh, it's okay. They're gonna bring him back from another timeline. And it doesn't keep the impact of seeing a character die on screen.
Wait till you see this Deadpool movie.
That's fine.
So that's, I think what you're concerned about, they were preemptive with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say much more about it, but you'll see why.
Yeah.
Why I think that they're going to, I think, settle that thought down.
Yeah.
I think so.
They have to, because this is the flaw that every show that deals with time hopping and timelines, they all fall into the same trap. Yeah. Is that nothing means anything because you could always go back and change the mistakes. So the risk reward of your decisions don't matter. Oh, I fucked up, but I just go back and change this. Oh, I fucked up here, I change this. So you never really suffer consequences. You're going to like
this because you're also going to kind of get that settled, and they're going to handle that.
What makes movies appealing is consequence, dire consequence. Oh, the world's going to end if we don't do this. Not the world ends, but we go to a different timeline and pull this up.
What they did with Endgame, where I was like, when I first saw it and they fucking snapped and everything was, I was like, oh, like they actually just got rid of it. I thought it was going to be like a normal superhero movie, like, oh, they're going to stop it right beforehand. When they got rid of everyone, I was like, no.
Because superhero movies always fell into the trap of there's a consequence, raise the stakes, dire consequences, but the superheroes always come out on top. They always win in the end.
You think that's why The Boys kind of took off, though, right? Because
The Boys did this. It did raise the stakes, dire consequences, crazy battle scene, all this stuff, but then they don't win at the end.
Then they still lose.
Yeah,
like the bad
guys could win,
and that it's also superheroes. Soups now, and I like how they also changed it, because at first when I would hear in The Boys that they called them soups instead of superheroes, I was like, why are they saying that? But now I understand too, because they're getting that out of your head. They're not superheroes.
Yeah,
they just are super people. They have superpowers, so they're soups.
Their pronouns are super and people.
That's it. They're just soups. Which, because at first
you could have super villains.
Yeah, but
what are they going to go around saying he's a superhero, he's a super villain? No, just call them all soups. Yeah, so you don't know the difference of. You don't morally put them at one end of the compass or the other.
Like thinking about, because it made me think when you said that to me one day, like when you were saying how they did a really good job, because everyone always expected the good guys to have the superpowers and all. But I was like, when you said The Boys took off because it wasn't showing that, I was like, that's actually a good point, because like that's what we always saw. Superheroes always win, and here it was like, wow, like they're shitty people.
You put them in a box too if you say superhero, super villain, because now a superhero cannot do something shady for a good outcome, and a supervillain cannot do something semi-good for a different outcome.
Think it's going to be good,
and you box them in. Now you just muddy the waters. No, they're all soups.
I think a lot of movies are kind of going to that, because Godzilla.
It's boring.
Did you see Godzilla -1?
I didn't see it.
So it was really good because the movie wasn't on Godzilla, right? It was about a guy who witnessed the destruction that he would do. Obviously, Godzilla was showing him throughout the whole movie and doing all his stuff.
Yeah.
But it was the focus of like how it affected this dude.
Yeah.
And that was what the movie followed. So it was really cool because, like, you know how people would look at Godzilla. It's like, oh, Godzilla's the hero, right? Like, he's fighting all the monsters, so everyone loves him. But then you don't realize, like, yeah, Godzilla fought this monster, but then destroyed this whole entire city.
Killed thousands of people.
Like, this guy.
When they crash into a building, there's at least one person in that building.
And that's what that movie was based on. And I liked it because it was like, oh, shit. Like, because you watch the movie, you're like, yeah, fucking kill the monsters. And you're not thinking about, wow, they just annihilated 100,000 people, and they're just gone. Like, that was it.
Dude, the Twin Towers fell, and people are like, the worst thing ever. Now imagine, let's say Manhattan, and Godzilla gets crashed in through by Mothra into the Empire State Building. The whole Empire State Building falls.
Because what they did in that movie, his fucking laser cannon, and also the new one, the laser cannon is like a fucking mini nuke, dude. Yeah. Just shoots it, and it's just, I was like, oh, like everything just dies. Like, that's it. So it was, I think that, like, you're right, that one, the boys took off because of it. And I think Godzilla also, like, as high of the ratings, and I think it was Oscar nominated or something, all because, like, they took out that feeling of, like, they were in that good guy box. It's like, no, they may do something good, but
They're not perfect.
They're destroying everything else. Like, is it good?
We went through a time before the 2000s. I want to say before the 2000s. Before 2000s, superhero movies were always cornball. Like, they were always like corny, over the top. The Riddler is so extravagant. The Joker is so extravagant. Then we hit the 2000s, and people started to take superhero movies a little more serious, like with Spider-Man.
I think
and
Batman
all
is what changed it. Like
Batman too.
With Christian Bale. I think that's when it started because they made it dark. And that was a big thing where they said like it was
Batman Begins was 2006, I want to say. I want to say it was 2005, 2006. Then Dark Knight was 2008 or 9 because I was in high school.
No, I think it was 2010 because the first one came out I think either right before I went into high school, which was 2008, or it was right in 2008.
But this is when superhero movies got taken a little more serious, where they're like, this is not just a cornball, like pow, bam, boom, like a little more serious. Then we went through a span of like 10, 15 years where superhero movies started to become a little cookie cutter towards the end, where it's like superhero always wins. There's no dark themes. It's always it's in real time. It's no pow, boom, but it's very cookie cutter and very cut and clean. Then we started to dive deep in the last maybe 10 years, 8 years of dark superheroes where they have problems, they have mental issues, they're not as cookie and clean, and you have Batman dealing with dead parent issues, but like serious dead parent issues, not just the mention of, oh, my parents died, and then I'm just a good pal, boom,
You're doing shit. It was like, no, like the dudes.
You got in depth with the characters. You saw flaws with the characters, which I think people like seeing flaws more. They don't want to see Superman squeaky clean and always this.
Also, I used to hate Superman as a kid, and I still like. To me, he's not like the greatest superhero because that's what I. He
is. He's just the greatest.
But that's it.
His superpower is literally just being the best of everything. And what hurts you? A rock. He's the best. He can't be shot. He could survive a nuclear explosion. He could be. He's a man of steel. He has laser beams. He could fly. They gave this man no flaws. Except the Rock.
And that's what makes me mad, honestly, with the whole Batman.
He's boring.
Like, Batman will put on brass knuckles, made a kryptonite, and fight it. I'm like, do you understand? He moves faster than a bullet, bro.
Yeah.
Batman gets hit by bullets.
Yeah.
You're telling me the guy who can fly faster than a bullet isn't one-punching this fucking dude?
Yeah.
He's a human. Batman has zero superpower. Superman's going to come by and just be like, stop that shit.
Nope.
Done for.
Batman's the best.
Apparently Batman will put on some brass knuckles and be like, I'm going to box the shit out of the
because he's smart. Hero. He knows when he puts the kryptonite brass knuckles on, when he gets within range of Superman, Superman slows down.
He slows down, but he's not slower than a bullet.
No, he slows down.
Not slower than a bullet.
It's all within range. As Superman gets closer to kryptonite, his power's dull.
Superman pushed a meteor made of
But he gets dulled when he gets close to kryptonite.
He pushed.
So if you put the kryptonite right here, he's a human, basically.
He pushed a meteor made of kryptonite.
You don't know how kryptonite works.
Space.
And he almost died doing it.
Almost died.
Yeah.
Batman beats the fuck out of him with brass knuckles. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And they'll do it in the same timeline. Yeah. They'll be like, oh, Superman can push a meteor, but Batman will box him.
Yeah.
Stupid.
As he gets closer, kryptonite just takes his power.
The fucking meteor. He's touching the shit.
And he almost died doing it.
Almost.
Isn't that when he becomes skinny and frail after he pushes? Yeah, he literally on the verge of death. So little kryptonite slows him down.
The fuck out of him.
Yeah, as he should.
No, that's dumb.
Batman is the best of us.
No.
He is.
And I love that being given. He's the world's greatest detective with billions of dollars as an asset. That's what makes it.
He's the world's greatest detective. If the police had billions of dollars to their disposal, they would also be the world's greatest detectives.
I mean, they have millions.
We would have Batman everywhere.
They have millions, and they still
we could call cops the Batman.
Are underfunded.
Yeah, they're not as rich as Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's richer than all the cops in the United States. Yeah,
guy has a military budget. I do like how they kind of showed.
And he doesn't have to go get warrants. That also makes you the greatest detective when you don't have to go, hey, I need a warrant to bug this apartment.
They were like, Batman's like, I'm just a detective. I don't murder people. Yeah. And he will beat the living shit out of you. He'll take a metal pole and crack your shins, crack your ribs, break your skull.
That's why it was cool with Zack Snyder's Batman, because he fucking killed people. Yeah, he had a gun. He would shoot people. Yeah, he's a detective. Cops shoot people all the time. And if they don't need a warrant,
you think I won't kill you? Fuck you.
Yeah, if Batman doesn't need a warrant, what makes you think he's going to think twice about shooting somebody?
It was so funny, bro. Like when he said he didn't kill people, and it was like in the Dark Knight when he flipped the dude in the parking garage and he flipped him over the thing. I'm like, you don't think he fucking died? Like, homeboy just fell 4 stories. You think he's alive?
Remember in Batman Begins when at the last scene where Ra's al Ghul and they're going, the train's going off the rails, and he goes, "I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you."
That's fucking murder, dude.
I still think you're liable.
Fucking murder.
That's like a cop seeing somebody being stabbed and be like, "I don't have to kill them, but I also don't have to save you." Please.
Like
I still think you're liable.
after not only
You have a duty, no?
after you crippled him too to prevent him from even leaving. You crippled him. Knew the train was crashing. It was still like,
We need
"Nah,
to
fuck
bring
it out, bro."
Batman up on charges. This
Well,
man
they
out here,
try, too. The
low
cops
key
are like-
trying to murder
The
people.
cops are, that's probably why the cops want him. Not because he's a vigilante, because they're like, nah, dude, you got a trail of bodies, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
how come
you may not be killing them, but you also gotta like not put them in situations where they die too.
you crushed his fucking throat, dude. I didn't fucking kill him. He was alive when I left. Like, but you left him to die. Like,
I didn't kill those people on the Titanic, but I put the iceberg there.
he'll leave someone hanging for hours.
Yeah,
And be like, I didn't kill him. You left him upside down, dude. His head exploded from the blood rush. Like,
yeah.
I didn't do it. It's like, yeah, but you hung him there. Fucking, what the shit, bro? That's probably why the cops want him. It's not because he's a vigilante. They're just like, dog, we've cleaned up 100 bodies of yours.
Also, Batman couldn't get by with today because now there are people who are criminals that wear a wig and a hat and cameras. They're able to AI generate that. Oh, that's that guy. Like I identify people with disguises. Yeah, they've always with facial recognition. That's how they find criminals. Criminals think they wear a wig or they blonde their hair or they put a hat on. They're still able to identify people with facial recognition.
Oh, yeah.
Batman, all he does is change his fucking voice and cover this. His eyes are still exposed. Yeah.
You don't know who I am.
It's like, yeah, dude, you have the same butt chin as that billionaire. Nobody's fucking put the images side by side over each other.
Pretty tall, like the same guy that I know. And why did he just disappear? Hold on, what the fuck?
You're 6'1" and jacked, just like him. You have the same butt chin. And when we put your photo over Batman's photo, it fucking matches up perfectly.
And the only thing he'll do is wear a mask that doesn't even like actually cover his eyes. Big ass hole, and he has to draw fucking black makeup on his shit every day, bro.
You know what makes me mad about Batman movies? When he takes the cowl off and there's no fucking eye makeup. That drives me crazy.
There was shit there.
Bro,
You could see
it's
it.
black on his skin around the eyes. But when he takes the cowl off in some movies, now, you know what movie did it good? The last one, The Batman, with Robert Pattinson, because he takes the cowl off and he has the black makeup.
I think the new
That is such a little detail that is so important.
It's the stuff like that because it's the same ones as like the Joker and all that. Like
Yeah.
they are hitting it with detail.
Yeah.
But honestly, people shit on Robert Pattinson. Movies he's in, like
I
put
think he
Twilight
made a
to the
good
side.
Batman.
Any movie
I'm going to go out on a
he's
limb. I'm
good.
going to say that's probably one of my favorite. That might be the top 3
Yes.
Batman
Yes.
movies. That
Right.
movie, he was actually a detective. He literally did detective work
He wasn't just
in
beating
that
the
movie.
shit out of people.
Yeah. He beat the shit out of people. He got hurt when fighting people in hand-to-hand combat. Bro, in other movies, they need to take a sledgehammer to Batman to injure him. This movie, he
And then
gets
they
hurt
said-
fighting
and then
people.
He goes like this. He goes, I need an armor to where I can take that hit. It's like, dude, nothing stops that.
Yeah.
Like no armor.
If you get hit
will
by
ever-
a car, it doesn't matter what
No,
you're
I don't
wearing.
give a fuck what you're
What
wearing.
armor?
You may not break a bunch of shit,
Yeah.
but it's gonna fucking
It's gonna hurt.
dude.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I remember I was talking to
Robert Pattinson's a good Batman.
a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps because he had I think 3 Purple Hearts, and it was a conversation that came up, and he was talking about how he was shot, and so I was like, oh, what's worse then? Because he explained how he's been shot through his leg and he's been shot in the plates. I was like, what was worse?
In the what?
In his plates.
Oh,
like, the
okay,
plate
okay.
carrier. And so he was just like, we were walking with this guy, another one of the guys that I served with. His name is McClintock. The guy matches his name. Shorter dude, probably like either my height, maybe an inch taller, but like
Stout.
fucking 230, dog. Dude was gigantic. And he goes, well, being shot in the plate is like having McClintock here take a fucking 30-pound sledgehammer and just fucking whack that shit into your chest. He goes, the bullet through the leg, he's like, I didn't realize I was shot until after when I tried to take a step and it gave out on me.
When you think about it, a bullet going through the leg, there's impact, but when a plate has to catch a bullet like this, it's more
that's what
surface
he said.
impact.
He's like, I couldn't breathe. It cracked his ribs because it was a 7.62, so like the AK-47, and it blasted him. It broke the plate. It sent him.
And hasn't there been cases where like people have been shot in the plate? It still goes in through the plate.
It can still go in. So the goal of plates. One, everyone thinks that if you wear plate armor because of video games and shit, they don't understand. It's not meant to take a shit ton of rounds.
No, it's meant to literally pop you once or maybe twice,
most of them
right?
are good up to 3 rounds at best. Yeah. Most of them.
And then what happens? The plate just cracks.
It's cracked.
Yeah.
Like it's no longer viable. So like if you get shot a shit ton of times, that's why you hear these guys like the SEALs that they have multiple bullet wounds. Yeah, it's because their plate stopped a few, but after that, the fucking thing's useless. And now it sucks too, which is why they had to move away from, I believe it was steel or it was ceramic, why we don't use ceramic. I forget which one it was, but it's because it started causing shrapnel.
To go
and like it would shoot you, the bullet.
Well, think about it's like this, and then it's spider webbing in, and now all those things are slicing you.
So that's the issue, and that's what people don't understand about it all. It's not meant to, it's meant to save you hopefully from 1 or 2 shots. You get pulled off the X, and you now are under care. Stop it. Or are you not stopping? Go away. I have no clue what's happening. It wouldn't stop.
Okay.
But either way, that's the whole thing. But that's what he said. With the leg one, it was just through and through. Then obviously they had a tourniquet in it. He was able to keep his leg and all that, which is good. It didn't do anything. It broke his leg. But he was like, it was like a hot rod went through. And he was like, that's all I really felt was just heat. So he's like, I thought I got grazed until like after his adrenaline wore off, he realized he was like, oh fuck. And it was his doc that noticed that he was
I love when people are like, why don't cops use what they call it, the beanbag gun? I'm like, bro, that shit fucking still hurt. You could break a bone with that.
Well, now it used to be called non-lethal. When I was in the Marine Corps, and this was 4 years ago when I got out, but we were still doing training from 2015 to 2019 is when I went to the other unit. But the name got switched to less than lethal. Even cops call it that now because you can still die. That's what people don't understand.
If you get hit in the face with a beanbag, it could crack your skull.
Yeah. If I shoot you close enough, you can stop someone's heart. Like that's the thing. That's why there's a safety distance with less than lethal rounds. Like I can't just fucking walk up to you and be like, oh, it's a beanbag and just fucking bam. That's not a thing because you can do it unless like there's life.
And haven't people been killed by doing stupid things with like no bullets in, but the air pressure fucking
blanks. So a blank.
You could still kill people with a blank.
So when we do training, you have what's called.
Which if you're a serial killer, you might want to just start killing people with blanks.
You can tell. You'll know the gun still fires. There's still powder and all. That's why it's just it's not enough powder to actually send a round out, and there is no actual round in.
There's no projectile.
Ammo. Yeah, there's no projectile.
But there's still a shell casing.
Yeah, there's a casing. So when you load up blanks, that's why it's a blank. You
get a revolver with blanks and you just start fucking capping people right in the head.
I don't understand why most people don't do this, but people who like do fucking commit murder, why aren't you using revolvers? It keeps the shell.
Yeah.
Like,
or I don't know, you plan to kill somebody, plan to spend 5 minutes to look for the fucking shell afterwards, dude. Right. If you plan to kill somebody, take 5 minutes to find your shell, dude.
But dude, I mean, that's why they say like criminals aren't actually like incredibly smart. That's why the guys who run the empire, they don't do shit themselves. They're like, no, you do it. Like, I didn't do anything. You get in trouble because you were running the stuff.
Yeah.
That's why those guys get put in prison. It's not because they did it. It's they're getting put in prison because that's why
they don't get murder one. They get like
that's why RICO charges came up, and that's why that's such a serious case now, because now they can get you for anything. If you have people that are associated with you, and all of a sudden you guys run as a group and they're selling drugs, guess who's getting run up on RICO?
All of it.
Fucking sucks, dude. Here's another tip: just don't commit crimes.
Be a good person. Stop committing crimes and just keep watching episodes of Fresh Off the Mats. Like, share, subscribe, and all that shit.